You think being surrounded by people makes you stronger. But be honest, how often do you walk away from a crowded room feeling sharper, clearer, more yourself? Most of the time, you leave feeling drained. Every place you go asks for a version of you. Every conversation pulls on your attention, your emotions, your image. Piece by piece, you start to trade away something you didn't even know was limited, your inner clarity. We call it being social. We call it connection. But most of what passes for connection today is closer to extraction. People take your time, your focus, your reactions. In return, they give you noise, opinions, gossip, performance, distraction. The exchange feels normal because you've lived inside it for years. But normal doesn't mean harmless. It means familiar. Think about the last time you were at a gathering. Loud music. Forced small talk. Laughter that feels slightly too loud, slightly too sharp, like everyone is trying to convince themselves they're enjoying it. You smile. You nod. You add something to the conversation. But underneath, a small, quiet part of you is shrinking back, watching from a distance. Later, when you're finally alone, your body may be still, but your mind feels frayed, restless, oddly tired. It's not just social fatigue. It's friction, the cost of constantly editing yourself to match the room. Philosophers like Arthur Schopenhauer understood this long before social media, group chats, and 24/7 notifications existed. He believed that a person can truly be themselves only when they are alone. Not because other people are evil, but because every group carries an invisible demand, the just. Adjust your tone. Adjust your opinions. Adjust your reactions. The more you adjust, the less you actually inhabit your own mind. Modern psychology has a simple term for this: social mirroring. You pick up the posture, expressions, and emotional temperature of the people around you. You agree when you're not fully convinced. You laugh when you're not really amused. You soften your real thoughts so they don't ruin the mood. Your brain rewards this behavior. It gives you a small hit of dopamine for fitting in, for being accepted, for receiving approval. It feels like comfort. It feels safe. But it's a bargain. Every time you choose acceptance over authenticity, you send a message back to your nervous system. Being myself is risky. Being a copy is safer. Little by little, you become fluent in another language, the language of performance. Schopenhauer saw solitude as something radical, not because it's lonely, but because it strips away performance. When you're alone, there's no one to impress, no one to flatter, no one to reassure. You're forced to sit with the only person you can never escape, yourself. That's why so many people run from silence. In silence, there is no distraction strong enough to hide the truth of what you actually feel, what you actually think, and who you've quietly become while you were busy pleasing everyone else. Solitude is dangerous for illusions. But it's also the birthplace of originality. Think of the minds we admire: Nietzsche walking for hours alone in the mountains. Jung retreating into his stone tower by the lake. Leonardo disappearing from courts and crowds to simply observe, study, sketch. They didn't create from inside the noise. They stepped out of it. Not because they hated people, but because they understood that the mind cannot go deep while it's constantly adjusting to others. Today, the crowd doesn't just exist in the streets. It lives in your pocket. You carry with you a portable chorus of opinions, emotions, hot takes, outrage, trends, arguments. You wake up, open your phone, and invite thousands of voices into your head before you've even heard your own. Scroll after scroll, post after post, you're absorbing fragments of other people's thoughts. You think you're staying updated. But what you're really doing is surrendering your attention to an endless stream of recycled reactions. Same outrage, slightly different wording. Same jokes, slightly different format. Same moral posturing, slightly different costumes. You're not just consuming content. You're inhaling a worldview. Stay long enough in that environment, and your mind begins to sync with it. You start to speak in ready-made phrases. You develop prefabricated opinions. You react before you even ask yourself, do I truly believe this? That's the subtle tyranny of the crowd in the digital age. It doesn't ask you to think. It asks you to respond. Fast. Loud. Emotionally. And your brain loves it for a while. Every notification, every like, every reply triggers a tiny rush of reward chemistry. It feels like confirmation that you exist, that you matter, that you're seen. But just like sugar, what feels good in the moment slowly undermines you over time. You get used to quick hits of stimulation, and deep thinking starts to feel boring. Reading one page without checking your phone feels like a chore. Sitting in silence for 10 minutes feels unbearable. You're not broken. You're overstimulated. You've trained your brain to crave noise and call it life. Here's the quiet truth. You cannot build a strong, original mind while living in a constant state of interruption. A mind that is always half-checking, half-scrolling, half-listening is also a mind that is half-living. You start a thought and abandon it. You feel an emotion and instantly distract yourself. You get an uncomfortable insight and drown it in conversation or content. The result? You don't truly know your own depth because you've rarely let yourself reach it. This is the real cost of modern sociability. Not just wasted time, wasted self. Schopenhauer believed that solitude purifies the intellect. He didn't mean you should withdraw from humanity and live in a cave. He meant that regular, intentional aloneness clears away the layers of imitation that build up from constant contact. In solitude, your inner compass recalibrates. Your thoughts slow down. Your emotions become more honest. Desires that were borrowed from others start to fall away, and what remains is closer to what you actually want. You begin to notice which convictions are genuinely yours and which ones were just absorbed to avoid friction. You start to see where you've been acting and where you've been real. This is not comfortable. But it's real. And reality is the only place true strength can grow. Every era has told people the same story. Strength is in numbers. Unity is power. Belonging is safety. There's truth in that. Humans are social creatures. We need others. But there's a part they leave out. Groups often demand that you shrink what is most unique about you for the sake of harmony. The crowd is not interested in your full complexity. It wants you simplified, predictable, easy to categorize. When you say something nuanced, you're told to pick a side. When you express doubt, you're seen as weak. When you think slowly, you're called indecisive. So you adapt. You sharpen your edges into slogans. You remove the parts of your personality that don't photograph well. You curate yourself until you're shareable. And slowly, you turn into a performance of who you think you should be, instead of an expression of who you actually are. Here's the cruel part. This performance is rewarded. Socially, professionally, digitally, people who play the game, who flatter, who echo what's expected, often rise faster. They look confident. They appear successful. But inside, many of them are exhausted. Not from effort, but from constant self-editing. From the quiet knowledge that much of what they're praised for isn't real. When you live this way long enough, you pay a specific price. You lose the ability to tell the difference between what you truly feel and what you've rehearsed. That's why silence feels threatening. Because silence doesn't clap. Silence doesn't validate. Silence doesn't distract. Silence shows you what's left when no one is watching. So what do? You don't have to disappear. You don't have to hate people. You don't have to abandon society. What you need is territory. Mental territory that belongs to you and only you. That means setting aside time where your mind is not available for consumption. No conversations. No messages. No feeds. No performing. At first, you'll experience withdrawal. You'll reach for your phone. You'll feel an itch to talk, to check, to share. Your brain will scream that something is missing. It is the noise. If you can resist the urge to refill the silence, something else begins to appear. Your own thoughts, unpolished, unfiltered, a little messy at first. Let them come. Write them. Walk with them. Sit with them. The more time you spend in this state, the more your inner voice strengthens. It stops whispering. It starts guiding. This is where philosophy stops being an abstract concept and becomes something practical. A philosophical mind is not just someone who reads difficult books. It's someone who is willing to stand alone long enough to see clearly, to question the beliefs they were handed, to examine the habits they never chose, to ask, what if I'm not here to impress anyone? The crowd cannot give you that kind of clarity. By definition, the crowd multiplies noise. Insight, by contrast, is almost always born in quiet. Look at the origin stories of the people whose ideas reshaped the world. Moments of seclusion. Walks alone. Late nights at a desk. Years away from the spotlight. They stepped back, not because they were antisocial, but because they valued their mind too much to let it dissolve in the constant rush of reaction. You have access to that same power. You may not build a stone tower like Jung or sketch flying machines like Leonardo, but you can do something just as radical in this age. You can become difficult to disturb. You can create pockets of time when your phone is off, your door is closed, and your attention is not for sale. You can choose to be present with one book instead of 20 opinions. You can choose to go for a walk without documenting it, to think without announcing it, to feel without immediately translating it into content. This isn't isolation. It's training. You're training your mind to no longer be dependent on constant stimulation. You're teaching your nervous system that peace is not boredom, it's recovery. Something strange happens when you begin to live this way. You speak less, but what you say comes from a deeper place. You show up less often, but when you do, your presence feels grounded, not scattered. You stop chasing other people's attention, and paradoxically, some begin to seek yours. Not because you're loud, but because you're no longer leaking energy everywhere. In a world addicted to noise, calm looks like power. In a culture obsessed with visibility, someone who is content being unseen becomes mysterious. That is the beginning of what you could call the unreachable mind. An unreachable mind is not cold or arrogant. It is simply not controlled by the need to be liked, noticed, or constantly included. You can participate in conversations without being absorbed by them. You can be part of a group without surrendering your judgment. You can listen without automatically agreeing, and disagree without feeling that your existence is under threat. Approval becomes pleasant, not necessary. Silence becomes restorative, not terrifying. The levers that once pulled you, fear of missing out, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, start to lose their grip. People can ignore you, criticize you, misunderstand you, and you remain steady. Not because you feel superior, but because your sense of self no longer depends on their reaction. This is the kind of independence Schopenhauer pointed toward. A mind that draws its strength from within, not from applause. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not a one-day digital detox or a weekend without plans. It's a gradual reorientation. Each time you choose solitude over pointless noise, you reclaim a small piece of yourself. Each time you sit with your thoughts instead of drowning them in chatter, you sharpen your inner clarity. Each time you say no to a performance version of you, you say yes to a quieter, truer one. One day, you look back and realize something fundamental has changed. You no longer crave being constantly understood. You crave being internally aligned. You no longer rush to share every insight. You let some of them live only inside you, like secret foundations. You become less reactive, less easily pressured, less easily manipulated. Not because you've become hard, but because you've become whole. The world will keep telling you that your value lies in your visibility, your engagement, your constant participation. But you don't owe the world your endless availability. You owe yourself your own mind. So step back, not as an escape, but as a decision. Turn down the volume. Reclaim your time. Guard your attention like something sacred, because it is. The crowd will always be there, shouting, scrolling, performing. You don't have to hate it. You just don't have to dissolve into it. Let others live loudly if they wish. Your power may be something quieter. A mind that cannot be easily read. A self that cannot be easily bent. A silence that is not emptiness, but mastery.